meeting of our commission to order. We have an agenda before us, which is straightforward. Can I have a motion to?
Well, can I amend the agenda?
Huh?
Can I amend the agenda?
Sure.
New business, if we could have Stu go over, what we voted on through, email. Just the fee schedule, just the proposal and who's he,
Okay.
to the
Yes.
swimming pool. Just an update on that.
Basically.
Who's got a pen? There you go. So is that old business?
He said it was new business.
New business, okay.
Yeah.
Fee schedule.
Swimming pool,
Discussion.
yeah.
Okay, as amended, can I have a motion to approve
You can have it, I got it.
the agenda? Thank you.
I motion, you make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, I reviewed the minutes, they looked fine to me. Accurately reflected our last meeting. So, unless anybody wants to go over our minutes, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I'll move to approve minutes as presented.
Okay. Second?
Big Sean.
Sean is the second, and all in favor?
Back there.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, excellent, good. So, we have some members of the public here, most of whom I do not personally know. So how about, introducing yourselves and,
Okay.
you can make whatever comments you wish.
Okay, my name is Crystal Zapushny. This is my daughter Jasmine Zapushny. She
Hi, Daphne.
is her and her partner Carson, who is not able to be here. They are doing a public advocacy assignment under the FCCLA. I gotta look up the acronym. I wrote it down. Where is it? The Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America group through the high school. It's like a club.
Okay, you should slow down a little bit, cause I'm gonna make a couple of notes as you're
Sorry.
talking.
FCCLA,
Okay.
Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. And they are doing a public advocacy assignment thing. I got pulled into this like last minute, like 2 weeks ago. They should have been working on it for a long time, but anyhow, they are addressing public places in regards to accessibility for people with mobility issues and disabilities. And their main points were public parks, the schools, playgrounds, and other public offices within our community. Jasmine has been advocating for accessibility, push buttons, things like that at the high school for the last couple of years, which they were able to implant.
Who's Jasmine?
This is Jasmine.
That's Jasmine,
Yes.
and you're,
I'm Crystal.
I heard the name Daphne, how did I hear that? Okay,
No.
Jasmine.
Sorry, I would have her talk, but we were just at a CHD meeting and her communication device died
Okay.
on us. So,
So Jasmine, good.
yeah.
Now, you've been working at the high school.
She's been working with the high school to get the push buttons for the doors and get it more up to code so that, you know, students aren't running into the doors with their scooters to try to get them through. So, when we got some push buttons put in place over this last summer, and I think they plan on doing some stuff this summer as well.
And Jasmine, are you a student at the high school? Okay. Are you a junior, senior? Senior. Great. Okay. Tell me your name again.
Crystal.
Crystal.
CHRYSTAL.
Okay, do you want to spell your last name?
And let's,
Stu?
yeah, last name.
ZAPLISHNY.
Zaplishna.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. And these two other ladies,
This is Tabitha, her career, they're kind of not really, they're just kind of sitting here because they're paid staff for her. So,
no, that's
Give your own
great,
names.
but we just want
My
to know.
name's Tabitha McClure, and
Tab-
this is my daughter Jasmine McClure.
Well, we got lots of
MCC
judgments.
LURE.
2 Jasmines.
And Jasmine, to be clear, goes by Jazzy. She's not a fan of the Jasmine, but
That
she'll
is
go
so
by
funny. I
Jazzy.
just came across that name. If anybody remembers Jesse Colin Young and the Youngbloods from way back in the day, he has a daughter named Jazzy. So there you go, twice in one day.
Jazz.
Who'd have thunk it?
This one goes by
Jazzy.
Jazzy.
This one goes by
goes
Jazzy.
by
Okay.
Jasmine.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so what can we do?
Well, we've seen some differences within the bathroom lavatories, where the women's have a lip of trying to get in, especially at like Riverside, where the guys is flat. And until we interviewed Stu on Tuesday, we always thought the button within the bathroom was a handicap button. And we've been pushing that button for like 10 years.
It's just to open it,
And it's
right?
just an automatic lock release. And so that's why they're doing this research project, to figure out what they can make changes and just kind of get out into the community and feel what they can do.
Okay.
And so then we had questions of like, why do some of the parks not have bathrooms? And
Just to be clear, right, Jazzy, this is, so we had a meeting, they interviewed me, and got answers, so I don't think you're asking those questions tonight
no,
necessarily.
we're just coming to view a
Yeah.
meeting. So
Yeah, it's also important for you guys to know that they're advocating behind the scenes with staff. And then we had some conversations about, I shared that we had a consultant come through last fall that did some of this work for us and that we're working on it. Her name's Ashley and she's with Travel Oregon, and she was here, we talked about that. You missed that and Sean didn't know that. So Ashley was here last fall and did a full ADA accessibility consult for Morgan Lake and Riverside Park, because those are the tourist destinations. But I was encouraged because we also had another high school student who's a sophomore but wasn't at the time do a similar thing a few years ago. We went around and just tested accessibility in parks and playgrounds. So I was excited that there's another advocate, because we are always looking to improve that. And like I explained to you guys, John's brother's in a wheelchair. So when I told you we have a member that is always got an eye out for that too, that's true too. So I feel like we're kind of on the cutting edge of this, but we're still behind.
And Stu may have mentioned to you that on our budget ask for this coming fiscal year, there's bathroom construction for at least one of the parks that's lacking a bathroom. Okay.
Yeah, he
So-
did. He said something about a prefab building or something like that being put in place
So
or
we're
something.
working on that. We
Yeah.
don't have the plans for it yet, but we're working on the funding for it.
We understand that there's like a 5-year master plan in place, and we're just trying to get trying to help her. She would like to be an a disability advocate, primarily for the public, so that she's helping all people's with not only physical but mental and intellectual disabilities. And this was their kind of project, and I'm kind of the mom that's kind of like, yeah, I can scribe and do all the notes for you and give you some ideas, but just kind of letting them roll with their own thing. So
So I encourage them to come and
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
and also just let you all know that they're working behind the scenes to improve our community.
Well, I'm sure I speak for all of us that we really support what you're doing, and we'd be very interested in a concrete written document of your findings, I guess is how I would put it. School district is a school district, and we don't have much say over that, but in terms of parks facilities, absolutely like that lip and being
And
present in the
we-
women's bathroom at Riverside, that's something we
we
could
confirmed
certainly
with
address.
Stu that the new restrooms up above the high school are part of the school district, not part of the Parks and Rec, because even though they're posted that they're handicap accessible, they are very difficult to access if you're in a power device. So, That was another one of her big concerns because we do Special Olympics and we use the track, and really, essentially, there's nowhere for her to use the restroom. Even with the brand new lavatories up there. So that'll be something they will be addressing with the school district.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and they will be taking all of this and compiling it into a slideshow presentation. So we will probably want to present that to Stu. They're hoping to be done with all their stuff by April 7th so that they can present it to a state level in Lebanon at the FCCLA convention.
Cool.
So,
Alright.
and that'll be, what, the 13th through the 16th of April. So,
Well, we appreciate you coming down, and since you're attending a meeting, we're gonna get right on with our meeting.
sounds great.
So,
Thank you
first
for your time.
agenda item is old business, Riverside Playground installation updates. So, Stu, you wanna go first on that?
Yeah, just sort of a small update from last meeting. We talked about how we recruit contractors. The playground committee created a spreadsheet to kind of track when people would come and what shifts they wanted to volunteer for, right? So I think they've got them in 4-hour increments. I should look, but basically starting May 12th, we're gonna need kind of all hands on deck. So we're gonna need a lot of help. Those 2 weeks, May 12th through the 23rd, will be the big build days. So it looks something like this, 7 to noon. There's my dongles. 7 to noon, and then again from noon to 5. So there's been little action on this.
Is
but
this a public document?
not yet?
Okay.
This is just how they're tracking who's coming when. So it looks like one contractor is signed up for sure. I know there's lots of them in a queue, so it's just a reminder, if you know anybody, if you yourself want to come, I know David said that you'd be interested with a couple of buddies or a couple of people, then
Yeah, and I've spoken to 2 contractors, Gus Chachas and JNN Renovations,
Yeah.
and they both say yes.
Cool. So we just need to pin down once we get a little closer.
Yeah,
So that's really, and then Mark and I met with the RD Mac folks, Kylan and Jay, and she coaches basketball, so she's busy right now, so she'll be back obviously tomorrow. And we'll talk to her again probably next week and follow through with those donations of the concrete and gravel for the footings at the playground. And then I talked to Jamie Chalice the other day about laying out the footings. So putting a bunch of X's on the ground where you gotta dig, basically. So working all the angles, we're getting organized, everything's starting to fall into place.
all right, good news. Chris, you got anything on Safe Routes to School?
We were supposed to have another meeting last night, but we had to move it to next Wednesday. But last meeting we had in February, we talked about someone brought a bunch of new information on wayfinding signs and stuff like that, a lot of information. So they're gonna work on, each person's gonna work on determining what they like, what they don't like, so we can really get it narrowed down so we can figure out what we want for wayfinding signs. And then the Wednesday walks are still going on the last Wednesdays of each month, so next Wednesday will be the last Wednesday since it's spring break after that. And they said turnout's been normal, handful of kids. They're trying to figure out how to really track the kids that are actually walking without holding up them getting into the school and that sort of stuff. So there's a suggestion of making some sort of way for teachers to track that for them once the kids are in the classroom. So
Okay, I'd like to know what a wayfinding sign is.
it's just kind of like signage that is put up around like schools or things that, I'm trying to think how to best describe this. Stu might be better at
Well,
explaining it.
it's the signs that are attached to the light poles that say Riverside Park that way,
Yeah,
Bernie Park that way,
Got it.
but there,
hospital that way.
yeah, there's also though like extensions off of those of like within school areas or walking areas that further, like we found one that had like from this point to this point is this many steps or this many miles, which is kind of cool to get like the idea of kids walking to school, because I think for a lot of kids it's like, oh, I walk, like that's so far, and then they come to find out you're actually not walking that far. So the wayfinding signs are what Stu said, those are like pretty standard
Basic
ones,
ones.
but then there's a bunch of other things that you can use. There's also talk of they kind of want to do some sort of art style wayfinding signs like on the streets, or do a mural or something to signify each school's walking path of some sort. So lots of ideas.
Okay.
Sounds like some shop projects.
There was one program in California or something was doing more biking to school, and they would they put a barcode on the helmet, so as the kid came through, they would
Scan it.
scan it,
Yeah, yeah.
and that would
Cool
track
idea.
their miles or whatever.
Huh.
So you could give out placards for people walking, but
Yeah.
the idea was to encourage the helmet wearing by.
Put barcodes on the shoes. as
Yeah.
They walk by, right? They
Yeah.
see it,
A scanner in the ground.
Or like the tag
Alright.
they give you for like a 5K race.
Yeah. Oh,
Big.
right. But those are, those.
Yeah,
Temporary.
Yeah.
But because most of those are, they send a signal. They're, so they have to be, actually, be like the chip they use to track animals, it gets powered when it goes by the sensor.
Are you saying we're gonna microchip
No,
all these
that's
kids?
not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. It could be like in a tag though. So as the tag goes by, it's
Yeah.
powered by the reader.
Yeah.
As opposed to having to, so that might be, but then you gotta collect those and know that those are associated, could be passed around and that kind of thing, so. I don't know.
Interesting idea. So, should we move on to new business? Okay, let's move on to new business, and you
What's
have
on
some
the list?
CHD funding project, which is an interesting
$56,000.
thing.
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure I shared last month, CHD approached us a month or so ago. Anyway, they have some unused funding for environmental health and climate resiliency. So, the Parks and Rec Department's a good fit for that, of course, because we have both of those things. We have, infrastructure that encourages climate resiliency, and we can have them contribute to that. So one of the things, so here's what we pitched to them: $7,000 in trees, about 33,000 in fitness stations, which are, I think maybe we talked about it, but concrete pad, some sort of fitness station where somebody could roll up to it, do it, and then move on. Those stations, the trend, is to put those around playgrounds so the kids can play while the parents are working out around the outside. So imagine 3 or 4 of these fitness stations around that new playground at Riverside Park. So they approved that. And then 2 shade canopies in the parks in the master plan. So Candy Cane Park and Benton Park are going to get shade canopies. Shade canopies are similar to the ones that's at Max Square. It's a metal frame with a canvas-like shade. So it'll come down in the wintertime and it'll go up in the springtime. So altogether, CHD approved over $56,000 in funding to buy that stuff for us, which is pretty awesome, because I had no idea what their budget was. But they didn't blink an eye. She said there's more. So if we run into a few things where we need some more funding, the reason this works is for not only it's a mission match, but also we had a plan, right? As soon as we had a plan, she's like, cool, I'll just start buying the things in your plan, right? Like the shade canopies were already in the master plan. So that was easy for them. It's already been fleshed out that the community wants those. The splash pad is the next move. So splash pad is a climate resiliency project because if people don't have air conditioning in their homes and they need to cool off, it serves as a community cooling station, right? So they're gonna look at helping fund that next year or when we're ready.
Is
So-
that a new funding cycle for them, or this is
Uh-huh.
the existing funding,
It's new,
new funding cycle?
yeah, so they have, essentially, nobody was in that position for a while, and they have kept getting state money just kind of banked into this fund, and they never used it until now, so they're excited to get going on it. And the last thing I have is that they're gonna pay CHD people with some of this funding extra than what I told you to plant those trees. So they're gonna buy the trees and pay people to plant them. Should be pretty great.
So, the exercise equipment, that was not in the master plan.
It was not.
So, I think it's always been my idea, we've talked about this before, I mean, it's a perfect location for exercise equipment around a playground. It's the Norwegian model, right?
That's right.
That's how they do it up in the Scandinavian countries,
Right.
so, I think that's really good, but it's not part of any plan, so was this something they suggested, or that, just in a discussion about the park? And then what kind of equipment is it going to be?
Do I have an example of that? Let's see. I never emailed that to you, did I? I just
You
pulled it
just
up.
pull it on here.
Yeah, I can maybe we can look at that, or I can send it out to you guys, but, usually, okay, so first question, it came up in conversation. I said essentially that this is something that we'd like to do eventually, and they were like, no, that meets our community health mission, we wanna buy those. So even though it wasn't in the plan, they insisted, if you will.
But it's, if you will, it's in the plan because it's part of the park,
Of course.
so.
And it enhances, I don't think anybody would bat an eye at it, but, it was a conversation that they just grabbed onto and wanted to do it.
So would they be interested in doing that in other parks?
Yeah, I think that the funding is there to do it
Yeah.
at,
Or I
other,
think if we approach the hospital, they have a community fund, right? I mean,
they have a what?
community grant fund,
They do.
and would they piggyback on this effort?
Yeah, get a bigger ass, do
Yeah.
bigger project, yeah.
I mean, Candy Cane, I think it's an ideal one because it's in a neighborhood, really. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Candy cane or just a central park.
Yeah.
Riverside's great because it's a
It's a
destination
destination
park.
park,
Yeah,
right.
as opposed to one of the ones, that's what I was thinking was
yeah.
in town.
There's an example, let's see, there's another example here. So imagine those so they have different moving parts, but they're made to be outside, and they're made to use. They'll come with like some directions, right, on how to use that piece of equipment. Here's the real life photo. Maybe not. Yeah, there's some other varieties that are stationary. Yeah, there's some other pieces. So we'll work with them to pick the pieces and all that, and then
And
I just picked that budget based on kind of a top, like an average price of what they would be.
And that would include
So
like building a
8
pit and a platform for them and
It
everything?
does.
Sorry.
No, I was just that 18 for a kid one.
18 what?
If you go back,
There was a kit.
for kids.
Oh, kids gym
$18,000.
courses.
Yeah, I mean, I think that
Oh, this is a course. That's not
Yeah.
what we'd be interested in because that's like a lot, like a chunk of land.
yeah.
right? That doesn't follow the Norwegian model we're talking about.
No, but that is a
Park course.
park course. I think
Yeah.
I think that would be a cool thing for a park.
Yeah, they're really expensive and they're really underused in my professional circles.
Mhm.
So I think they're overrated, to be honest. They look cool, but they're just, for whatever reason, the newness wears out really quickly.
Okay.
So there's several of those varieties. There's ninja courses. There's that, all kinds of stuff. But the ones we would be interested in would be the singular, chin up, chest press, etc.
Is there an adult ninja course? Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think I would totally do that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah. Anyway, they would be on concrete pads, and they would probably be either in one spot like this. You'd have sort of a setup like with a few in a row, or you would have, them spaced around. Part of that's logistics and sprinkler heads, to be honest.
Yeah,
So we'll put them where we can get them, but
sure.
they should be accessible because they'll have concrete pads and they should be attached to some hard surface pathways.
Mhm.
So
Okay, thanks for that.
that's
Yeah, I appreciate that.
that. Yeah.
Unless there's further discussion, we'll move on to B, which is the bike park.
Sean, you entered the conversation. Okay. I'm just gonna hand this off to you. So I'm gonna bring up the invitation flyer, and then if you can just provide a background of what that there's a group of people working with Travel Oregon, etc. So that would be great if you don't mind,
You
Sean.
come up and take my seat if you want.
I can stand.
Okay,
if
all right.
That works. Yeah. So Grand Run Gravity, which is a local nonprofit, started last year. Made up of a lot of the people who worked on getting the pump track built. Have started working on building another type of bike park here in town. And we got accepted into this Travel Oregon program that's new this year, which is the Recreation Ready program. And the goal of the program is to provide like assistance to groups trying to develop outdoor recreation in rural communities. So they're doing all kinds of, or they're doing like the feasibility analysis. They're helping us with site selection and planning and just all the stuff you need to kind of do before you can actually like move towards building a park and getting that approved. So as part of that, we've got a community meeting coming up in April where we're gonna talk more about the project and try and get people to come out, get feedback. But the exciting thing is at the end of, so it's a 6-month program, and at the end of it, if they deem that our project is feasible, our community gets $100,000 to put towards, could be actual like design planning or construction if we're ready at that point, which we probably won't be. But we could get a bunch of money, so, and that's, I mean, the main reason we applied is it seemed like a relatively easy way to get $100,000 for this project. So, yeah.
So you want to
You're
invite
thinking,
everybody to
Yeah,
this right
you should
now?
all come if you are around on April 21st. I think it's a Monday evening. It'll be at Side A. There will be food and drinks provided by Travel Oregon, and
And you need to RSVP, so there's the
Oh,
link
yeah.
right there.
Can you send that out to us?
I will send it out, and there's Sean's phone number and email right there on the bottom left. And then there are some examples of what a bike park might look like.
So you're more mountain bike than.
more like mountain bike, dirt, maybe some skill features.
What time is that? 4 to 6.
4:46.
Yeah, it'll. The site will kind of determine what we
Yeah.
can do. But
And you'll send a link out to commission members?
Yeah, I'll send this flyer. So this is just to be clear, like this is a feasibility study. So there's no site picked yet necessarily. There's a couple options. There's not a design picked. There are no conceptual designs yet. There's no plans yet. It's just really like gauging what the community support would be for something like this, if it would be worth proceeding or not, or whatever. So this specifically, there's gonna be, it's gonna be led by Sean and others locally, but there'll be some state folks there that will support, kind of behind the scenes. And it's mostly just a conversation and some opinions about, here's what it is, what do you think?
Are the
Yeah.
type of sites, sorry,
Mhm.
I did it again. Are the type of sites that you're looking for in the city or?
yeah, so
okay,
the two sites ideally would be that hillside over at Pioneer, or below Gangloff,
Over
right
here.
here. Or Stu floated part of Riverside as a possibility, like where the horseshoe pits currently are, since apparently nobody plays horseshoes.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't the
like-
city-owned land right by the fairgrounds across the street there?
The parking
Yes.
lot?
Yeah, we drove through there, but that's where Public Works stores all their stuff.
I don't care about public works.
That's fair.
That's on the record, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm recording.
Oh, I'm mad. 12th Street, they screwed that up so bad. It's like, can't you pour asphalt? Isn't that what you do?
Wait a minute, it's gonna get done this summer.
Yeah, but they put in the water lines or meters and then just kind of slapped in some stuff that's settled. It's like,
Oh,
can't
that's-
you tamp down gravel before you put asphalt?
Listen, I got their back on this one. That's only because
So,
it's a temporary, they're gonna do it.
temporary. I still have to
I
drive
have a
on it for
question for
6
Sean
months.
that's actually apropos the topic. That is, would having some kind of census of what's going on at the pump track be helpful in justifying this project to Travel Oregon?
I think it would. We've been trying to figure out a way to like track usage. I mean, anecdotally, it's any nice afternoon you go out there, it's full of families. It seems like it's being really heavily used, but similar to tracking the safe routes to school kids, it's a little hard to
Yeah.
like.
The bean count, like the
Yeah.
I don't know if they would honor it, but you have a jar and says if you're here, take a bean and put it in.
That's a great idea. I was gonna say, just have a sign-up sheet just saying, we're trying to track how many people are here, and if you're here with 4 kids, write down that you're here with 4 kids.
Yeah.
Well, I came down to the pool Saturday to grab a whistle because I had to ref a couple basketball games and it was full.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, it was,
there's always people
packed.
there.
Yeah, so the jar of the bean count had to be cleared every day.
Yeah.
And there's the possibility that somebody would just
Oh, yeah.
grab a handful.
I
I
know.
mean, there's a lot of variability around
is.
it. It might be better just to pick a few slices at a time and
Right.
come out and count the use
Yeah.
at various times and use that to extrapolate usage, I think.
That's probably valid.
It's gonna be a more valid observational measurement just because you avoid the possibilities of.
The human mess.
Well,
Cameras.
if that would be
Cameras.
supportive of the application, we should try to do that. I'm sure that all the commission members would be happy to volunteer.
Yeah.
That
Anyway.
might be something the girls might be willing to help with, because we've been trying to figure out how that they can help. Maybe get some statistical reviews in regards to park usages.
Sure.
So it
Absolutely.
might be something that you guys can collaborate later on with.
So, Stu, is there any more to say about this right now?
No, mostly just if I'd encourage everybody to come if you can and listen to what folks are saying and express your opinion.
All right. John, you want to just take off with the fee schedule?
Oh, well,
thing?
we had the email and there was some adjusting the fee schedule to allow a partnership with someone for something. I just wanted to know more
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, so the language was to take away the language was to add the language was, so we had the ability to change prices for promotional things and partners. So the partners could be like gym membership partnerships where they offer 10% to their members and we offer 10% to their members, right? Sort of a collaborative swap. Mark's had 2 businesses approach him asking about that. For both of those are fitness type facilities. So that was why we did that change, because of those 2 that approached us. The other thing that's in there is that it allows us to do promotional things like flash sales in the summertime, where if it's slow at the pool, we can post on Facebook, family pricing $250 a head now through 5 o'clock, come down today. So it allows us for both things. I think it will generate more revenue, it will generate more door count, and it will potentially expand our membership base because of the doubled incentive.
I think you need to do it the week after the time change, the 5 to 7:30 swim times, reduced fees. 'Cause nobody was there on Wednesday morning, or very few.
it's pretty empty without the swim team.
Yeah, well, no, but I mean, without the swim team, there's usually like 5 people swimming 7:30 or 6:30 to 7:30, and I got in the pool on Wednesday. There was one person,
Like,
other
wow,
person in
yeah,
the pool.
this
It
is-
was very low.
And 3 lifeguards.
Yeah,
Anyway,
actually, I
city
tried
council
to-
approved that, so now we just have some more flexibility versus going to them every single time we wanna offer sale or enter into an agreement with somebody.
All right, thank you for the clarification. We have written staff reports, which look good. Should we have just real brief run-throughs? Why don't you go ahead?
Well, I go with the two big ones on mine. We did the sand filters, mechanical room. Public Works was gracious enough to come down with the vac trailer and helped us suck everything out, so we didn't have to pack everything up the stairs. Got all that changed, put the new media and the new sand in, so that's, filters are running real smooth right now. We had a couple of burst pipes when we fired things back up where the fittings, I should have brought those fittings, but they were just grenaded. And the other one was, I went down to Eugene the other weekend and got my instructor certificate for teaching CPR,
Yeah.
AED, first aid, so that's a big step towards stuff that we need at the pool, so.
I'm gonna try to get my son to register. He needs CPR.
He needs to keep swimming. Just saying.
I agree with that too.
If that's it, then Chris.
Yeah, I'll just go over a couple things real fast too. So our soccer registration stuff is open, so Pee Wee soccer and adult soccer. Pee Wee's already at 70 kids. This is 63, but it changes every day. And then adult soccer registration is open as well until the end of April. And then at the end of April, April 26th, we have our Arts for All events, which is a free event we do every year. And we get community organizations, stuff like that, to come run a table of arts and crafts projects for a couple hours. It'll be Saturday the 26th of April from 10 to 12 at Willow Gym.
Another thing the girls come up with.
Yeah, they're currently trying to find organizations stuff to run tables. Last year, I want to say we had 8 or 9 tables, so pretty good. But and that's a free event. So.
Mr. Director.
Mine's short, so I'll just remind you of them. We got another grant to extend the landscape strip on Island Avenue from Railroad across from Starbucks towards Walmart. So you know there's a landscape strip the rest of the way into town, so that will almost complete that. It's about $80,000 from Department of Land Conservation, TLCD, whatever that stands for. We're Oregon's Tree City of the USA. So it's only one city selected every year. So LeGrand's winning. The last championship was in 1996. So pretty rare and awesome. And Dry Stars meeting, read about that. And then not on your report is that I sent you an email about legislative advocacy. If you saw it, you've also probably got one from ORPA directly. This is a big push. The Recreation Immunity Bill is something that we as Parks and Recreation crafted with the help of a lawyer and legislators. And we don't often propose bills in the legislature as an industry. This is kind of a unique situation because of the threat. So I think I included Senator Nash's information for you. If you reached out, great. It passed the Senate unanimously today. So that's pretty dramatic. We did not expect that with the Oregon Trial Lawyers Association fighting it because they're pretty powerful. But that's good. So it's on the House, and you'll see information about that too. That's just one of your, I just encourage you to participate as commissioners in this stuff once in a while. This is a very unique one because it's something we crafted and that we need because we continue to be under siege from lawyers suing us for access in what I think are silly lawsuits. The last one, if you remember, was in the city of Newport. There was a trail, a wet bridge, 2 women walking their dog. One of them tripped and fell and sued the city. Did not win because of recreation immunity, but then it was referred back to a higher court, and they said, well, we weren't recreating, we were commuting. So they said, oh, well, in that case, maybe you can sue the city, and they referred it back down to a lower court. Still not resolved, but those are the kinds of threats that we're up against. So my other favorite one was that a blind person fell in a hole in Portland and sued the employee that dug the hole because they couldn't sue the city and won. So that was ugly. So there are lots of threats to this, and the reason it's important is because it threatens our free open access to property. So when agencies get sued and insurance companies crack down, for example, lots of cities closed their trails last year because of that Newport lawsuit. They were worried that they were gonna get sued because it wasn't necessarily recreating. In our case, we put up signs, our insurance carrier made us put up signs at the Greenway that said, this, you're entering a recreational area, you are recreating when you go past the sign.
By definition,
Yeah.
that's what you're
Yeah, yeah.
doing.
So that's what we're up against, folks.
Yeah.
It's important, so I don't often ask you guys to engage with state legislators, but that was a big one.
Stu, I got one other kind of
Yeah.
question about that. There's also the House Bill 3140, which is dealing with like waiver law. Does
Mhm.
that affect the Parks
A
Department?
little, it's more private industry, so it's ski resorts are
Yeah.
pushing that, and bike parks, like I have ski resorts.
Yeah.
It's mostly private,
But for, like,
because we
the
have recreation.
program, like where people
Yeah.
are paying to be part
Right.
of it, wouldn't they be
Yeah,
technically
could
covered
be.
by it? Yeah.
Yeah, that one, we're kinda just watching, that one we don't think affects public agencies, but they've been working on that for a few years, and it's back. And I'm not sure what its status is, if it's still moving forward.
He's moving forward, but slowly.
Yeah. So, anyway, I'm encouraged by that unanimous vote today, but, yeah, never know.
All right. Are there any volunteer hours on the parts of commissioners?
I got two.
You have two.
I got two.
So,
Dang.
here's the thing, I need timesheets from you guys if you put stuff outside the meeting.
Okay.
So, I'll attach it, I've attached it before, but I'll attach it again, so just bring it next time,
Okay.
or you can email it to me.
Okay.
And, we're kind of keeping up with pending business.
Nothing there.
There's nothing there, okay. Commissioner comments, so this is always fun. Anything on anybody's mind?
Wow.
The dog park water, when it gets turned back on, remember it got frozen, so it will need checked when you turn it on.
I think they fixed it already,
Okay.
last fall. Yes, thank you.
You still check it because
Yep.
I think they turned on the water last year and didn't bother checking it, and it was just running. So,
I have one.
Yeah.
It might be better to put it under new business for next meeting, but it's, for Morgan Lake. And there are a couple of things that have fallen through the cracks that we agreed on, or things that we talked about, but they've changed, like the vegetation and stuff. So I think we need to talk about that, or it'd be nice to.
What would you call that, Steve?
Morgan Lake Revisited.
Well, what would you call that so the public would know what you're talking about?
Okay, Morgan Lake,
Just,
in-
how
in-
about discuss vegetation plan?
It's, yeah, that, how about Morgan Lake enhancements? Because it's more than just the vegetation plan.
Okay, so noted, it will be on the next agenda.
I had a question too. Last month we discussed the amounts for like reserves and things that we wanted to ask for. When do we know whether those were given to us or?
The
Do you know
budget
what I'm
committee-
talking about?
Yep, the budget committee meets in May,
Oh, in May.
and so after that, and then the council adopts it in June. So everything
Oh.
is not final until it's final in June. So the first Wednesday in June's council meeting will be that.
Okay.
But we'll have a pretty good idea before that. The first round is budget meetings with staff and the city manager and finance director. That'll be the first go. And then the second will be the budget committee.
Okay.
Good question.
All right, if that's it, we stand adjourned.
All right, good. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
6:13.
Good job.
Well, I had an ulterior motive. I've got a major scheduling meeting with my son.